The hum of the engines was steady, almost like a lullaby in the pressurized cabin of Flight 237 bound for New York. Most passengers scrolled through their phones or whispered to seatmates. But in row 10, seat A, a young woman slept soundly against a window. Quick question before we start. What city are you watching from? If you enjoy stories that remind you what humanity's really about, hit subscribe and join the journey. Her hands were folded on her lap, a faint scar running across one knuckle. The soft light from the clouds outside brushed her face. Peaceful and calm, a rare serenity she hadn't known in years. Her name was Captain Emily Ross, former U.S. Air Force combat pilot. Call sign Falcon 1, but today she wasn't a pilot dot. She was just a woman returning home after years of silence. Carrying ghosts only, she could see. The intercom crackled. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We are currently cruising at 35,000 feet. Emily barely stirred. The flight attendant smiled, serving drinks. Everything seemed normal. Until it wasn't. A sudden jolt shook the plane. The seatbelt signs blinked. A tray of orange juice spilled. Passengers gasped. The calm turned into chaos in a matter of seconds. The captain's voice came again, but this time, it trembled. Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing a technical malfunction. Please remain seated and keep calm. Emily's eyes snapped open. Her instincts, long buried, came alive instantly. Her gaze swept the cabin, turbulence pattern. Passengers' reactions, flight attendants struggling to stay calm. She felt it in her gut. This wasn't normal turbulence. The engines coughed. A strange metallic groan echoed through the fuselage, and then came the words that froze the cabin. If there is any combat pilot or aviation professional on board, please make yourself known immediately. People turned, whispering. A few heads swiveled toward the back, but no one moved. Emily's heart raced. She wanted to stay invisible. She'd promised herself she'd never fly again. But then a small voice behind her said, "Mommy, are we gonna crash?" That was it. Emily unbuckled her belt, stood up, and whispered under her breath, "Not today." Thumbnail image prompt for full story. A tense airplane cabin mid-flight. Passengers panicking as lights flicker. In row 10, a woman in her early 30s with short brown hair and a calm but determined face stands up from her seat. She wears a simple jacket and jeans, but her confident posture reveals her military past. The cockpit door is slightly open ahead, revealing a flicker of red warning lights. Cloudy skies outside the windows, giving a cinematic, suspenseful tone. Realistic, dramatic lighting focus on her as the central hero. Embodying courage and calm amidst chaos, Emily stepped into the aisle as flight attendants stared at her. Y-I. One of them, a young woman barely in her 20s, stammered, "Ma'am, please take your seat." Emily showed her an ID card. Its corners worn but still legible. Captain Emily Ross, U.S. Air Force. What's the situation up there? The attendant hesitated, eyes darting toward the cockpit. The captain's requesting help. He said the rudder control isn't responding, and one of the engines is failing. Her voice cracked. He asked if anyone on board had flight experience. Emily's jaw tightened. "All right," she said, moving toward the cockpit. "Tell the passengers to stay calm." As she walked forward, every step pulled her deeper into a past she tried to bury. The sandstorms of Afghanistan, the smell of jet fuel, the radio chatter that ended in silence. She could almost hear the screams of her squadron again, the day she failed to save her wingman. The cockpit door opened with a beep. Inside, the co-pilot was pale, his hands trembling on the controls. Warning lights flashed red across the panel like beating hearts. The captain turned, sweat on his brow. "Thank God. You're the combat pilot?" Emily nodded, sliding into the jump seat. "Former, what have we got?" He pointed at the console. Right engine's dead. Hydraulics are glitching, rudders barely responding. "We're in partial manual control." Emily scanned the gauges. Altitude, dropping fast. Fuel, uneven. Wind, unstable. Her mind sharpened like a blade. Okay, breathe, she told them both. We're not losing this bird. Not today. The captain nodded, voice steadying. You take auxiliary control? Emily's hands hovered over the panel. Her pulse quickened. The smell of aviation oil brought a rush of memories. The adrenaline, the loss, the sky she once called home. Let's fly, she said quietly. The plane pitched downward slightly. Oxygen masks dangled. Passengers screamed, but in the cockpit, 3 souls fought back. Emily coordinated commands, toggling switches like muscle memory. Fuel transfer to left tank. Manual override on hydraulic valve 2. The co-pilot followed her lead, grateful for direction. Done. Outside the window, a vast sea of white clouds. But the horizon tilted wrong. Emily's eyes narrowed. We're rolling. Rudder assist isn't kicking in. We'll have to trim manually. You've done this before? The captain asked. She smiled faintly, a ghost of pride. In worse skies. Suddenly, turbulence hit again, violent this time. The plane dropped hundreds of feet. Overhead bins rattled open. A cry echoed from the cabin. For a split second, Emily felt herself back in her old fighter jet, descending outnumbered. Outgunned, her wingman's last words in her ear, Falcon 1, don't let me fall alone. Her fingers trembled. She clenched them tight. Not this time. Stabilize at 28,000. She barked. We'll level her out manually. I need your help, Captain. Together. The captain grabbed the yoke beside her. On 3? 1.2. 3. They pulled. The metal frame groaned, the engine screamed, but the nose slowly lifted. Altitude stabilized. The descent stopped. The captain's voice broke. We're holding steady. Emily exhaled, her shoulders trembling slightly. Good. Now let's bring her home. The cabin lights flickered as Flight 237 steadied. For the first time in 10 minutes, the air felt breathable again. Passengers whispered prayers, clutching loved ones, unaware that a former combat pilot was now steering their fate. In the cockpit, Emily's eyes darted across the instruments. Speed 310 knots. Altitude 28,000 and holding. But the right engine was still sputtering. She toggled the mic to the control tower. Mayday. Mayday. This is Flight 237. Engine failure on starboard side. Partial hydraulic loss. Requesting emergency clearance for immediate descent and landing. A pause. Then a calm voice responded through static. Flight 237, this is New York Center. You are clear for emergency landing at JFK. Runway 22L ground team standing by. Emily nodded to the captain. We've got our runway. Let's get her down in one piece. The co-pilot looked at her, awe and fear mixed in his eyes. You've done this before, haven't you? She gave a small nod. A few times. But never with 200 souls behind me. As they began their slow descent, another alarm screamed. This time, the right engine fully failed. Smoke started curling past the cockpit window. The captain cursed it under his breath. We've lost thrust! Emily's voice was sharp. Then we glide. She took manual control completely. Every muscle in her body tensed as she guided the yoke. The aircraft responded sluggishly, heavy and stubborn. Sweat dripped from her forehead. Keep nose up 5 degrees, she muttered. Flaps 10. Don't let her stall. Copy that, the captain said, following her rhythm like a dance. Outside, the clouds parted to reveal a stormy dusk over New York. Lightning flickered on the horizon. The sky, her old battlefield, greeted her like an old enemy, and in that moment, she wasn't just flying a passenger plane. She was back in her fighter jet, dodging chaos, saving lives, chasing redemption. The radio crackled again. Flight 237, wind shear warning. Gusts at 25 knots. Emily bit her lip. Of course it is. The co-pilot's hand shook. We won't make the angle. Yes, we will, Emily cut him off. Her eyes burned with determination. Trust me. The runway came into view, distant but reachable. The city lights glimmered beneath the clouds like stars reflected on glass. Gear down, she commanded. The captain flipped the lever. Gear deployed. The plane began to rattle. Passengers screamed again as turbulence tossed the aircraft side to side. Emily gritted her teeth, both hands gripping the controls. Her voice was steady, but her mind was screaming. Don't fail them, Emily. Not like last time. Flaps 20. Power left engine to max. Hold it steady, steady. The descent rate was too fast. Altimeter dropping. Warning chime blare. Pull up. Pull up. Emily's muscles strained. Come on, baby. Hold together. The plane skimmed through thick rain, lights flashing, the ground rushing closer. And then, for one breathless moment, she closed her eyes and whispered, "For you, Mason." The name of the wingman she couldn't save years ago. Then she pulled back, strong. Precise, fearless. The wheels slammed against the runway with a thunderous roar. The plane bounced once, then caught, skidding but holding its line. The entire cabin erupted in cries and prayers as sparks trailed beneath the belly. Reverse thrust, shouted the captain. Left engine only. Emily replied, "Hold the center line." The sound was deafening, metal screaming, wind howling, but the jet slowed, meter by meter, until finally they stopped. Silence. Then applause. Tears. Laughter. Life. Captain exhaled deeply, turning to Emily with eyes wet. "I don't know who you are, but you just saved 200 lives." Emily smiled faintly, trembling as the adrenaline faded. "Just a passenger," she whispered. Outside. Emergency lights flashed red and blue. She could see the reflection in the window. Her own eyes. Steady. Calm, alive again. For the first time in years, Emily Ross didn't feel haunted by the sky. She made peace with it. As firefighters opened the cabin door, passengers looked at her in awe. Someone said, "That's the woman from row 10. She saved us." But she just shook her head and smiled softly. "I didn't save you," she murmured. "The sky just gave us another chance." And as she stepped off the plane into the cold night air, rain kissed her face, a baptism of freedom and forgiveness. Thanks for watching till the very end. I put a lot of heart into sharing stories like this, and if it connected with you in any way, I'd love to know. Drop a comment, hit like, maybe share it with someone who get it too. You being here honestly means the world.